Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, sorry for the delay in getting this video out. I'm dealing with a couple of things on the channel right now. But yeah, anyway, I'll disclose that at a later date. Yeah, Purifying Flame of Revelations turned out to be a pretty good league start. I'm at T16 maps pretty much at the moment. Within the first, 2 days, day and a half, so that's not too bad. Though, the damage is still sort of developing. I'm at about 1.6 million Ignite dot on the build so far, so about 1.6 mil, and that's with Convergence up, and basically 25% shock, fire exposure, etc, etc. Defense is currently still a little low, and I'm a bit heavily reliant on evasion rating, but I have made it to around 150 depth delve. 151 depth delve, which isn't too bad considering, this character's in very sort of entry level sort of areas of the game. Now, how to get this works. So for anyone who doesn't know what this is Purifying Flame. And I'll show you guys what a T13, T14 map looks like right now, so you get a bit of an idea of how this currently maps, and then a little bit of delve footage, and then we'll dig into the POB, the guide, and everything else. Okay, so POB configs to get it to where it currently is. So as you can see, the damage is scaled out pretty well in the first couple days, and I just need to work on defense a hell of a lot more, but I'll do that over the next few days. So anyway, major gods. Alright, so Brian King to stop stun, Tukahama, so when you're standing still 5 seconds, your life regeneration goes up. No power charges, no frenzy charges currently. Endurance charges comes from the Enduring Cry that's set up on the Call to Arms gem link. Now there's no other anything here. Flaster active has no effect. Consecrated ground, Purifying Flame drops Consecrated ground when you blast the ground. Convergence comes when you hit a boss. So this is convergence here. So basically we get a buff on when we hit a unique enemy. And then beyond that point, skill is targeting a branded curse enemy, so that does nothing to the build. There's no other configuration changes here. The enemy will be burning, ignited, and will have 25% shock and fire exposure. And fire exposure comes from both my gloves and my helm. And then this is Guardian and Pinnacle. So this is really basic setup, and it scales to 1.6. If you do the initial on hit, it's 788,000. It's not too bad for a like an early league start sort of build. Okay, so as far as gearing goes, helm, we're using Eye of Malice. Shield, I'm just using any old high armor shield that I could get my hands onto to push my armor up. For some reason, my armor seems to have dropped after some modifications I made to the build, so I need to look into that a little further. Now, I am using a replica Dragon's Fang with Purifying Flame. This is also giving me 9% reservation efficiency and 9% reduced attribute requirements as well. So, if you can get one of these, then I'd recommend doing it. They'll be more available on the market now. I think I paid for about a div for this on League Start. And then I had a 6-link chest drop, so full plate mail. This is not a good chest piece. This is a horrible chest piece and actually has the wrong gem socket, so that's actually cutting down my DPS currently. Now my wand, pardon me, I got like a really good fire damage roll. This was like a 15C1 with +1 to fire spells. And some cast speed and some dot, but this by no means is good. This is pretty scuffed. Now, rings. I've got a really good topaz ring here, which basically, gives me chaos res as well. So my chaos res is actually sort of performing at about 31%, which is pretty cool. Now, my other ring is Ming's Heart. Now, this ring is only worth like 2C, right? And this does a huge amount of physical damage because the way that this build works is it scales physical damage to elemental. So this takes 41% of that physical damage and applies this extra chaos damage, but it does drop my life pool by 357 life, 356 life, which isn't ideal. But it does give me a ton of chaos res, which is why my chaos res is performing right now as well. Now my gloves, I managed to get fire exposure. I just literally did maps until I had the implicit crafts drop, and that is Eater of Worlds, so it's an Ica. And then I just got a spell suppression set of gloves. So I have with spell suppression, 37% plus being lucky gives me about 47% spell suppression. And then my belt, just a high regeneration belt with some resistances and life. And then boots, I have Legacy of Fury. This just means I have a bit more clear with Scorch as well, Scorch effect. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for gearing. Really simple stuff. And then my flasks, I've got just your standard life flask, granite flask, basalt flask, jade flask, and quicksilver flask. Because we're currently using a balance between evasion and armor right now until we can get an Aegis Aurora. Alright, as far as gem setups, Helm I'm running Arcanus brand with elemental weakness and flammability, and this is made possible due to my skill tree. So I do have Whispers of Doom in my skill tree. And then in my wand, I've got Vitality, Purity of Elements, Frost Blink. In my chest, Ignite, Proliferation, Burning Damage, Unbound Elements, Cruelty, Added Fire, and Purifying Flame. Now, ideally, I'll get rid of this once I get my glove enchant to have Proliferation on my gloves, or Ignite spread to other enemies on my gloves. And then I'll also be getting rid of Added Fire Damage and subbing that out for Deadly Elements as well. And then obviously Purifying Flame of Revelation, which I got for I think it was 10C, 15C, something like that. And as we can see, it's only level 19 currently and about to get to level 20, so that will raise it to level 24, which will up my damage again. Then in my shield, I've got Determination, Shield Charge, and Faster Attacks. In my gloves, I've got Call to Arms, I've got Grace, and I've got Enduring Cry. And then in my boots, I have Molten Shell, and I have Increased Duration, Automation, and Phase Run. So the thing that you can't currently see is I have automated auras as well. So these constantly cycle. And to be honest with you, I actually prefer the new automated auras. So my Molten Shell's always popping. My Enduring Cry is always popping. And that's giving me endurance charges and a whole hell of a lot more survivability as I'm running through maps. Okay, so as far as the tree, it's exactly the same tree in the leveling guide. So we've got points up into Arcanus Dominion, into Heart and Soul, into Practical Application, up into Firewalker. Then it came up and specced up into Cruel Preparations, and then up into Heart and Flame and Breath of Flames, with one life regeneration per overcapping. Now, I currently don't have very much overcapping on my fire res, which isn't ideal, so I'm going to work on that. And then basically we come across and we got this dual socket here, Mystic Bulwark, Mana Reservation Efficiency as well. We come down to get Arcane Focus, so we got more Energy Shield, though we can't get another temporary aura in here with Divine Blessing yet. We need more ES, so the chest piece has got to change. Then we come up, we grab Searing Heat. We grab the 40% damage, physical damage converted to fire, then up to Eldritch Battery, that gets our sustain up. Then we come back, then we go back over this side, we pick up Acrimony, Elemental Overload, then we get Holy Fire, we get Purity of Flesh, Sovereignty, and then we come back over this side and continue pressing down to get Influence, we get Whispers of Doom, move up to Instinct, and then we want the chance to suppress spell damage is Lucky. And then we go to Written in Blood with 100% increased energy shield from equipped helmet. Then we get Growth and Decay. We go Cold-Hearted Calculation into Resourcefulness, into Fangs of the Viper, down into Blood Drinker. We take an extra life node here and 50 plus life here. Then we go Elemental Focus, Trickery, and Blood Siphon. And by the time you get there, you'll be level 90. Now, as far as the Ascendancy goes, I picked up Shaper, Mastermind of Discord, into Heart of Destruction, into Shaper of Storms. And that should pretty much do it. Okay, hopefully this gets you started if you're struggling with the League Start or anything like that. As an overall, this build was really easy to work with on the League Start scenario. And it's scaled up through to T16s in no time. I'm pushing Delve. I just need to scale its defenses a hell of a lot better. Anyway, if you've got any questions, feel free to post up in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.